What if I told you that every app on your phone comes with a price tag? Not in dollars, not one you can see on a receipt, but a real price paid.
Web3 and AI made simple. Hosted by yours truly, Riza UT.
So, Ian, we're going into something today that I think is going to genuinely surprise people, even people who think they already understand this. We are talking about the true cost of free. What do you actually give when you use a free digital product, and why, when you add it all up, it might be one of the most significant financial transactions most people are making without ever realizing it. By the end of this episode, you will never look at a free app the same way again. So let's start with the basics. So, Ian, how are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's going to be a very exciting topic to discuss.
So let me ask you with a question my audience would ask. We've all heard of it's free. You're the, for example, you're the product, but people would like to want to know more about how do they really feel about the free apps.
Nothing's free. Okay. Free, if it means that you can use a software, a platform, and there's no upfront cost, there's no membership fee, then you are the product. If you pay for software, then you're transacting, you're paying for value from a platform. However, if you're using a platform for free, then that means you are the product. They are using you to sell advertising, they are selling your data, they are packaging it up. And so it's quite an elaborate scheme that these big $1 trillion tech companies have where they basically provide their platform to everyone. The most extreme would be like in the Philippines. Maybe you don't have internet, but you can message people on Facebook. You can use Facebook because Facebook is not just free to use. Facebook will give a Filipino free internet access, free communication. Well, that's not free. It means that they're looking at all of your messages, they're looking at all of your posts, they watch your eyes, which is so weird. They see how long you linger on things, and everything is your data. Then they bundle that up and they sell it to a bunch of different data brokers and so many more things that they do to extract value from you, the product. You are the product, not the platform.
So, can you walk us through and let's, make it more practical? When you use Instagram for 20 minutes, what is actually happening on the business side?
Well, for Instagram, during those 20 minutes, they're tracking everything that you're doing, everything that you're not doing, how you're doing it, and they're building a stronger profile. So every 20 minutes that you invest on Instagram, you become more and more and more valuable to Instagram to extract value from you. The more time you spend, the more time you invest in their free platform, the more important product that you become to them.
Wow. So I have been using Instagram and I always post every single day consistently. And, many people thought that it's actually 100% free because you don't need to pay. All you have to do is to just, click it on the how do you call that? Like if you download an app, just click it and it's free. So in my case, I traded my time, my attention, and of course, my information for the ability, to scroll through photos. And here's the question I want to sit with for a moment. Is that fair? Is that a fair trade? I'm genuinely asking, not theoretically, rhetorically, because there's an argument that it is fair. Instagram is genuinely useful tool. I can stay connected with people I love. I can grow my business. I can share my ideas for free. That has value. But here's what changes when you understand the actual exchange. You can start deciding consciously whether the value you're receiving is worth the value you're giving. Right now, most people are making that trade without knowing they're making it at all. So, Ian, let's talk about the numbers because I think this is where people really feel it. I've read that personal data has real monetary value. What it actually worth per person or per year?
So this is the one of the things that is more challenging for people. Every user of a social platform might be worth $100 to $200 a year to the platform. So now maybe for someone that is working minimum wage in Southeast Asia, the thought of you are being extracted $100 to $200 a year of value, like wow, that takes a week to make. That's crazy. Why can't I participate? And then there's people in developed nations, maybe people that are doing well financially and they're wealthy and they think, oh, that's doesn't matter. I make that in a day or whatnot, or even shorter. So there's a lack of understanding around this. But if you look at the whole of like a decade, the average that I've seen is $9,000 to $20,000 of value per person over the course of a decade if they're like a engaged active user. So even at that point now it becomes like wow, over a decade I just gave this $1 trillion tech company uh you know $10,000 $9,000 of value on kind of the low end. And you think, well, now it becomes a bigger conversation because it's not just your data. It's not just how they sell advertising against you. It's also how they train their AI models with you. It's also how they, just one example would be Meta, Facebook, Instagram. They have like 10,000 different versions of their platform at all times, and all the billions of users are using one of the 10,000 platforms. Those different versions are changing in real time, constantly based off usage. When you're using it, you're basically the R&D channel. You're the person that's one of the many people that's helping kind of propagate their ability to keep you hooked on this, like it's an addictive, dopamine giving, drug. So free is hard to understand, fair value is hard to understand. The reality is people really like getting comments, likes, shares, attention, and these platforms will provide it. And so that is the exchange. You get to go and use their platform, get access to their audience. It's not your audience. You get access to their audience. And the exchange that's silent and not talked about is that they are going to extract as much value from you as they possibly can. And so then each user has to ask themselves, is that a big deal? Like, is it a fair exchange that I get access to their audience? It's not my audience. Even if they follow me, it's still their audience. I get access to that audience and they make money off of my data, my information. So is that fair? Is that reasonable? Everyone has to decide for themselves.
So we're talking potentially $9,000 to $20,000 per person over 10 years, paid in data, attention, and behavioral access and received by the platform. So Ian, I want to ask about something specific because I think this affects people in ways they don't expect. Beyond just data, how does the free model affect people's time? Because time is something people understand even when data feels abstract.
Money comes and goes. Anyone that's been wealthy usually has lost that wealth. Most people that have been wildly wealthy have probably been wildly in debt. Money comes and goes, right? It's like you can't ever count on money. You're totally broke, and then next thing you know, you're wealthy, and you're completely wealthy, and next thing you know, you're broke. But one thing that all of us share is our limited time. Time only goes; it doesn't come, right? We never add a minute to our life. We only invest our time, our energy into things. When you are investing your time and energy into these platforms that are building something more addictive than a cigarette, that they want you to constantly stay on there, get the dopamine hit, and just stay engaged and keep creating and keep attracting and keep getting people's attention. When they're doing that and you're using your time for that, that is the most important investment of your life, is what you do with your time. And you have to understand that they don't just want you to invest your time, they want all of your time. This is why there's all these different elements like, oh, just click here to watch a video for more diamonds. Why? They want you on the platform. And it's why they give you, oh, have you seen this? Here's a little pop up. Have you seen this? Come check this thing out. Why? Because they want another 1 to 10 minutes of your time. So everything is about extracting time from you, extracting value from you. And what they're giving you in return is a free platform, but they're making money from you. And then you have to ask yourself, is it worth this exchange?
Wow. So money comes and goes. So the design of these apps isn't neutral. It isn't just trying to give you a good experience. It's trying to keep you inside the app because every minute you're inside the app is a minute of data being collected and a minute of attention that can be sold. So that reframe, the infinite scroll isn't a feature for your benefit. It's a mechanism for your extraction. I think that's one of the most important things to understand about the digital world we're living in. So now, Ian, here's where I want to bring in Web3 because this is the part that I think offers something genuinely new. What does Web3 change about this equation?
Web3 is still in its infancy, right? All these decentralized approaches are still very young. You could even say they're still in the womb, yet to be born. So there's a challenge with engaging with it, but the tech is there and the opportunities are there. So it can certainly be uh, pursued if somebody wants to take the energy and time to do so. So as far as like leveraging Web3, the thing to ask yourself is, what's out there that makes sense for me, and is it decentralized, and do I own it, and am I protecting my data? And so all these different companies, mostly software companies, but even some hardware companies, are kind of coming to the forefront and saying, look, we have decentralized technology, we have a decentralized approach where you own all of your data and you protect yourself. Some people are going to be very serious about this, some people are not going to care at all, and then there's a large group of us that are right there in the middle wondering like, well, should I overemphasize protecting myself and running after decentralized web3 opportunities, or should I just give in to the current state of things and like everybody else smokes, why not me too? That type of attitude. So it's a personal decision.
I agree with you. So it's not just about also the privacy, it's about the value distribution. And I want to be careful here because I know my audience. They're going to hear this and think, okay, but is that real? Is that actually happening? Or is this just a nice idea? So, Ian, honestly, where are we on this actually existing in a usable way?
It's definitely usable. So if I had to tell somebody to start somewhere, I would tell them to go to Coinbase's base environment, because Bases has a lot of resources and brilliant people, and they've done well with compliance and regulation, and there's a very strong chance that Coinbase is going to make it not just years but decades and beyond. I like some of the stuff that Base's network is doing. Also Solana, I think Solana is doing some pretty unique things around web3 communities. Of course, Ethereum's entire community, which of course many people know, different Ethereum layer 2, but there's all these different blockchain networks that have been producing these Web3 alternatives. And some are extraordinary in certain ways, but then lack in other ways. So there is a learning curve, and it takes some time for people to really get used to it and feel like, oh wow, this is worth the change. This is worth the switch. Look, I own my audience. I know who they are. They know who I am. We have direct connection. So here's what I will say. These Web3 platforms that are decentralized and put you back in control as the audience and the creator, it's inevitable. It will happen. You can be early or you can wait until everyone's doing it. It's up to you what's best for you personally.
Yes, I agree with you. And which brings us right back to what this whole podcast is about. Not go to this thing right now, but understand what actually happening so that you can make real choices, not just convenient ones. So let me give you a very practical example of what that looks like today. If you use Gmail, Google is reading your emails to serve you targeted ads. That's been documented. Is that a fair trade for free email? Maybe it is for you, but now you know you're making that trade. So if you use Google Maps, every route you take is tracked and used to improve traffic data and to serve location-based advertising. Is that fair trade for free navigation? Maybe, but now you know the point isn't that off the grid. The point is to leave awake. So, Ian, last question before we wrap up. If someone in my audience is sitting there right now, feeling a little unsettled, maybe a little frustrated, what's the most useful thing they can do with that feeling?
Well, anxiety is not going to help, nor is fear. So, you want to approach these things with peace, but you want to be serious about the situation. So, you brought up maps and emails. These are two of the most personal things that a person could possibly do. All of their private email communications, having all of that data available to this big, giant, multi-trillion-dollar company called Alphabet that owns Google. Is that something that we're comfortable with? Maps. I mean, do you want a big trillion-dollar company that sells your data to know every single place that you go? But then it's like, okay, then what do? You go back to paper maps? Is Apple Maps any better? So the challenge is being at peace with the situation you're in. And my recommendation is make a decision as an individual what you will and will not tolerate, what you will and will not pursue, and what you will not tolerate, do not change and cut those things out. And what you will pursue, go after it as a marathon, a long experience of going after what you think is best for you. And remember, a lot of this is about awareness. There was a time when almost every housewife in America, 60, 70, 80 years ago, smoked cigarettes, almost all of them. And the advertising around cigarettes would tie cigarettes to health, strength, vitality. And then all of a sudden, boom, it hits cigarettes are bad for you. It gives you lung cancer. It can kill you. And every single person that smoked at that time had to come to grips with, oh, I've been smoking because everyone else smokes. I've been smoking because I like the way it makes me feel, gives me dopamine. I've been smoking because I was under the impression that this makes my lungs strong. Well, when it comes to play that no, smoking is a dangerous physical thing and all of the benefits you're getting is not a reasonable exchange, a large portion of people quit smoking. And what do they do instead? They start eating processed foods. And for the last half century, processed foods have completely taken over culture. And people are eating all this garbage, highly processed oils and sugars. And now more and more data is coming out, and people are like, oh, wow, like sugar's poison. All these oils are terrible for us. All this fried stuff is bad for us. The processed stuff is bad for us. And now people once again have to come to grips with that reality. Well, this is just a digital version of this, right? Our grandparents had to deal with the fact that they thought smoking was okay and they found out it wasn't. They had to make a change because of it. Our parents thought that eating processed food, low fat food was good for you, but it was just highly processed garbage. And now they've had to make decisions to change their ways. And now our generation have to acknowledge that some of the things going on in the digital sphere is like we've been told smoking's good for you and eat this low fat garbage, high sugar, high processed, high oil, high refined food. And everyone has to just take a step back in peace and ask, what are my non-negotiables I will no longer do? And then stick to your conviction. And what do I want to pursue? And slowly make one good decision at a time to pursue that thing.
Wow. That's a very helpful, example and story. So now to all my audience out there, so always think first, not because you saw it's a free app and you will just click it and keep on using it. Yeah, it's very enjoyable, but of course you have to think about it. And what Ian actually shared is very useful. So Ian, thank you always. And of course, I am so happy that you're here and you made everything clear about this free app thing. So before we close, can you please say again my closing? to the audience, and any last word for my audience today?
My last word for you is to keep pursuing knowledge in a way that is peaceful. Your anxiety, your fear, your concern, your rage, your anger, your feeling of betrayal, your contempt for these platforms, your hatred, whatever those things are, those dark emotions likely will not lead you to the promised land. So rise above the clouds and the thunder and the lightning, come back into the sunshine, and just get clear. What will I no longer do and why? Stick to it. What will I pursue and why? And go after it. And of course, stay curious, stay grounded, stay human.
Thank you very much again, and see you next Tuesday. Web3 and AI made simple. Take care.